Welcome back to the vendor table. What's going on, guys? We're riding solo today, so I'm here on a bonus episode. So this has been a crazy week, has it not? What's been going on in the industry? There's been so much, but I think something has been on everybody's mind, and that is this whole Sepia Gate drama. And if you are unaware what this whole Sepia Gate drama is, well, I'm going to break it down for you. So real quick. So basically, quick story. If you go on TikTok, if you go on Instagram, you go on Threads and you type in Sepia Gate, the story will pop up. It's been everywhere over the last week and a half. But to break it down for you, what has happened was a bride took to TikTok and shared her story about how she was unhappy with her wedding photos after receiving back the edited photos. So wedding was photographed, she got her photos back, and after a few weeks she realized she was unhappy with the results of the edits. She wasn't unhappy with the composition of the photos, the taking of the photos, the experience on the wedding day. Wasn't unhappy with that. She was unhappy with the post-production or the editing of those photos. So she took to TikTok and voiced her complaint, which you're allowed to in this day and age. You are allowed to share your negative experience, right? But what transpired was something I don't think anyone thought would happen. This whole thing went super viral. You had people taking the side of the bride, people defending the photographer, and it just became crazy after a while. There was so much to keep up with as well because the bride continuously was posting TikToks. I think she's now up to 25 plus at the time of this recording. So there's a lot of information here. Only from one side though, and that is from the bride's side. So I reached out to the bride, we reached out to her, and we got her side of the story. We got a full breakdown. She DM'd us her side of the story, and gave us like a really good amount of information on top of what she was posting on her TikToks. What we didn't hear from anywhere was from the photographer. The photographer was silent, was handling this, basically quietly. We didn't hear anything from her. No one heard anything from her. So we reached out to her and we found out who the photographer was. We reached out to her and we asked her if she wanted to come on the podcast and do an interview with us. And that way we could hear her side of the story, give her the platform to tell her side of the story. And she got back to us and she was very willing to do it. So this is a full interview with Hannah Wise from Hannah Elise Photography, the sepia photographer, as she's known on the internet today. And we're excited to share this with you. So this is a complete interview with her. It runs around 30 minutes or so. And we are really looking forward to sharing her side of the story. So with that, we're going to take it away. All right, guys. So we're here with Hannah Wise from Hannah Elise Photography. We're going to hear her side of the story from the whole Sepia Gate drama. So we had some questions prepared for Hannah. We appreciate you coming on, and we're honored to have you here. So with the whole saga that has gone down and everything that has happened over the last week, this has obviously taken the industry by storm. Everyone's talking about it on TikTok. Everyone's talking about it on Instagram, Threads. It's everywhere. So, we've only heard from the bride's perspective, and we would love to hear from your side and your perspective. So, I'll kick it off with just the first question. When you met with your past client, everything like that, did you when you did your consultation and you talked to her, did you ever send her a full gallery of images that she could check out, that she could see your work and get an accurate representation of what you do, your editing style?
Right. Yes, I did send one full gallery. Definitely was a gallery that I was super proud of, was super on brand with my style. And she also did look at galleries on website as well. So she reached out initially asking for a gallery, and then she also said, oh, actually I found some on your website as well. So she did see multiple. Yes.
Yep. Okay. And do you feel like your images, like your editing style that you sent her, and like I'm assuming you sent over a pricing guide too, like like everybody does, like you have a pricing structure and a pricing guide. But when you send that over to her, you feel like your work that was in the guide in those galleries is represented to what you sent over to her as your client, like your editing style, it was still consistent.
Yes, 100%. I did send a pricing package guide, and then that was prior to booking. And then I also sent, like I said, the full gallery. And then obviously there's my website, Instagram. I know there's been a lot of discussion around what to use as your reference for booking a photographer. But yes, I did provide multiple forms of communication, I guess, just showing my style. And then I also sent a wedding guide after booking that was about 30 pages with photos on every page, explaining, or virtually every page, explaining how to plan your wedding, tips and stuff like that. But again, had a lot of my photos, a lot of my editing. So yes.
So she was made fully aware of your editing style. She saw like your work. She saw everything of how you produce your photography, like your editing style. So she shouldn't have been surprised by the look
Right.
and feel, right?
Right. Yes. I mean, I have a pretty distinct style, obviously. I know that there's, with the more true to color style kind of trending right now. I feel like it's honestly it's not to say that you won't know what you're going to get. I mean, I definitely think there's consistency even with that, but obviously even more so with a preset, I think. And with just, like I said, a just more edited look, there's going to be even more opportunity for consistency, in my opinion, because you're kind of, like I said, editing photos to look really similar. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what was the initial reaction like when you sent the gallery over to her, like the final gallery? I know it was 2,000 plus images,
Yeah.
so which is a lot of photos to deliver. I know how much that is. So yeah, obviously, you were there before the wedding. I saw you photographed, I think, the rehearsal dinner. You delivered those photos, the wedding day as well. So there was a
Right.
lot of photos to deliver.
There were. Yes.
So 2,000 plus photos you delivered. How was her reaction when you sent the gallery?
She was raving, honestly. You have a lot of clients. I'm sure your experience with this too. A lot of clients just send like, "Thank you so much," and I appreciate any response to Wedding Gallery. But she definitely went above and beyond in her response. All caps. We love these. Was super excited about them. So yeah, she definitely, as far as I knew, loved them. She posted them everywhere. She printed them. Like, I think she got prints made like on her honeymoon. I know she was texting me right away for all that stuff. So yeah, as far as I know, she absolutely loved them, and it was definitely a raving response for sure.
So how long was it after the fact though that like the response started to turn a little sour? Like, did that happen? That didn't happen right away. Obviously, that happened like down the road.
Right. So I believe I sent her same day rehearsal dinner sneaks. I sent her same day wedding sneaks, just a few on the wedding day. And then I think I did work to get her a few more throughout the like following days. Obviously it was a destination wedding, so I was on an island. Signal was kind of poor. So I know I texted her a lot of the photos initially as they weren't uploading to the gallery. She loved them. I sent the full gallery. She said she loved them. And I would say probably within a day, she started having, I think there was like is there maybe a shot of like these photos with family that like from the rehearsal dinner, or like, could I get these black and whites in color, just like little things. And then it kind of started to build. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So the request started happening after the full gallery was delivered, for changes, tweaks, things like that, which is common as wedding photographers. We get those requests quite a bit. Like, it's, oh, my mom's blinking, or my dad's squinting, or something like that, where we have to, make corrections, or maybe like, we picked the wrong photo out of the batch, like, and we have to do a head swap or something. So very common. That's something that happens to all of us. You started communicating with her, feeling her concerns, obviously. is that when you started making tweaks and changes? Did you start like making a lot of tweaks and changes to the images that she was requesting, like the simple changes?
Yes, there was definitely a few things I would be 100% willing to do, just to make a client happy. And I'm not going to just whip out, you need to pay me for every little thing, of course. But it did get to the point where I was like, this is going to be a lot of photos to make little changes to or tweak, etc. And obviously, that's a lot of work. So I did charge her my hourly rate at that point.
Yeah, that's very common when like a client starts requesting an absorbent amount of changes to the images, to start having to charge an hourly rate for that. Like personally, like I'm gonna fill everybody in here that's listening, but like personally, like I give 10 complimentary edits, like where they're complete alterations to an image. Like this goes beyond the post processing of just color grading and all that stuff. This like goes to body manipulation, blemish removal, things like that, like where maybe they want something like a head swap. So what Hannah's doing is totally common in the industry, where she's charging an hourly rate because she's doing edits beyond her discretion, and more time is being added to her to her service, which as photographers who have multiple clients, this is what happens in the industry. Is like, we don't just have one client a year, and we have to service the needs of many. So, we want to give everybody obviously appropriate time and give them the time they need. But at some point you do have to start charging for, extra time. So, totally see your point with that. Now, the edits she was requesting, I saw, was everything from, like enhancing makeup, like head swapping, like dad squinting, things like that. At any point, was she, upset with the coloring of the images with you? Like, did she get upset with like the overall toning, or like you have a very golden style? So did she ever get upset with the toning of the images, that she wanted that to be completely changed?
Right. No, not in the beginning at all. There was never any coming back and saying, these are too warm, these are too golden. There was never any verbiage like that. The main thing that she was concerned about with editing was just her makeup. She really wanted these. There was a few photos of just her, and I think maybe one of her and Mike as well. So there definitely were photos of her, maybe a few with her and Mike, where she said, my makeup doesn't really look how I feel like it looked in real life. My hair is looking a little bit redder than it looked in real life, etc. And she wanted tweaks to her hair and makeup. So that is when I said, sure, I will fix that for you. Like, I will obviously endeavor to fix that for you. And so I did go about enhancing her makeup. I did not, there has been speculation that I photoshopped makeup on, or I don't know exactly what people think that we do in editing. But it was really just a matter of like saturation sliders, color, stuff like that, just trying to enhance things that maybe she felt were a little bit dull. So I did do that thinking that is what she wanted. I came back with those images. She said, this isn't what I want. Can I have the raws? So
Gotcha.
For those specific images, mostly of her. And at that point, that's when I was like, okay, I don't think, I thought that I did what you wanted. I don't know if we're going to meet a mutual agreement on your makeup specifically for this. So obviously we as photographers never, ever give out raws, but it was just a moment where I thought, this is this will make the client happy. I'll do this for you. So.
Okay, that's very common. You did what you could to help make the client happy. Now, when that resolution couldn't be reached, in terms of like you like, obviously you're just not seeing eye to eye. You're doing what you can to make these changes. What happened next was, like I've seen she asked for raw images. She asked for to have her raw image, like the raw images. And a lot of people don't understand what raw images are. And like, all right, I'm going to educate everybody on what a raw image is. A raw image is a file taken on the camera that is an uncompressed version of our photo. So it gives you the ultimate tweaking ability. It's It's flat. It's boring. It's basically like it has nothing on it. Okay. What Hannah does is when like her editing style, her golden look and everything like that is the result of the editing style that she produces. So she's tweaking every little aspect of the image to produce her basically the recipe. Okay. So when she puts that out, that's the final version. So this is the equivalent of a chef basically having all the ingredients and everything like that. Think of that as raw. Okay. And then what Hannah put us together is the final cooked meal. Okay. So that's her recipe. That's the final dish. Okay. So when a client asks for raw photographs, sometimes they're people think they're just asking for unedited photos, unedited JPEGs, which JPEGs can't really be manipulated the way RAWs can. So when people ask for raw photos, they're asking for an uncompressed file that is one, gigantic, and two, most people don't even know how to open a raw file. They don't have the means to open a raw file. So when they ask for the raw file, usually they're asking for unedited images. So that is something that, you know, we see in the industry. That's like is something that like happens in the industry. People hear raw and they think like just unedited, unpolished, but there's a lot more that goes into that. So the client asked for the raw photos and started asking for the raw photos. Now, did you send raw photos to her so that she could take a look or, you know, use them at her discretion?
Yes, I did. After a little bit of back and forth with her, I came to the place where I just kind of realized we weren't going to reach a mutual place on the editing, specifically just for her makeup and a little bit of her hair, I believe, as well. She asked for the raws. That was something that she brought up first. And I gave it some thought. I definitely didn't want it to be something, again, with ego, which I have heard a lot this past week, where I wouldn't give her just a few photos over needing it to be my finished work. I obviously never expected the raws that I did give her to go where they have gone. So definitely gave those raws with a lot of trust, just wanting to make her happy. So yes, I did give probably about 7 to 10 raws to her.
Which is that's very generous in the fact that as a photographer, we don't give out raws. So the fact that you give out raws for free. Now, was there any agreement in place that these raws wouldn't be shared anywhere? They wouldn't be shared on social media or anything like that? Was there any agreement there, or was it just, you know, here you go, like I'm going to give these to you like out of trust?
Yes, it was 100% trust. There was no separate contract made up. There was no NDA, nothing like that regarding that first set of raws.
At what point did she ask? Did she ask for the full like raw gallery, like the entirety of your raw gallery? Did she ever ask for that at any point?
I definitely don't want past or future clients to think that my intention is ever to come into a situation like this, showing receipts, showing timeline, all that jazz. But I will say I sent the raws, the 7 to 10 raws. She thanked me for them, sent a little message, you know, again, thanking me for that. And then there was no communication for about a week. And she reached out to me, asked to get on a call with her and her husband. And so we got on a call. Pretty quickly into the call, she addressed their concerns about the editing, texted me some side-by-sides of an edit that she had made to the raw next to my edits, and kind of expressed that they were just unhappy with pretty much all the edits. They appreciated how I captured the moments, but they no longer really liked my editing and asked for all the raws. In that phone call, I didn't promise anything. I told them I would think about it. Obviously, it's a phone call about 6 months ago, so I don't remember perfectly how everything was said, but I do know I was mostly just trying to withhold saying anything specifically about I didn't want to commit anything too soon on the phone call without taking time to really think through it. So on that phone call, nothing was promised. I probably did bring up that in my contract, copyrights are 4,000. And the phone call did turn a little bit hostile towards the end. Not on my end. I definitely did not have any ill will towards them. It was just obviously pretty shocking, and I wanted time to process their request. So yes.
And when she showed you those side by sides, the side by side like of your edit versus her edit, was it anywhere near your golden style, or was it like true to color? Like because that's what we've been seeing is like she edited more like a true to color tone.
Right. So the image that she has posted in her TikTok is the image that she sent me. It is the side by side of her standing, and obviously her edit is, I would say, light and airy. Obviously, styles are, to put one word on any specific style isn't really the best, but I would say it was more of a light and airy, true to color, like saturated greens, etc. So definitely very different than my style. So I was pretty shocked.
You obviously have a very distinct style, and when you were showed those images that she edited that were raws that she turned into edited JPEGs, obviously not representative anywhere of your style and what you produce. So when they asked for the raws and they wanted to receive all the raws back and everything like that, did you and you eventually, you said you're going to think about it and you were going to talk about this and think things through and get back to them. And did you reply to them like you would send them the raws at any point, like the full gallery of raws? And if so, like, were you going to charge them for those raws?
So yes, after that phone call, I thought it over and just kind of really took some time to think through the situation and obviously what would make them happy, what would be in line with my contract and the way that I do business. And I decided that I could offer them the raws for $3,000, or I could offer them the copyright for $4,000. My contract is clear that no raws should be given anytime, no exceptions. But obviously, I wanted to go above and beyond for her. I wanted her to be happy, and that was my way of kind of meeting them in the middle. Was to even really put the raws on the table. So.
Giving raws to a client is usually like the last step in resolution is usually
right.
If a client's unhappy and like they want the raw photos, usually photographers, that's the last step in anything is giving raws, and 99.9% of photographers, if they're ever asked for the raw photos, they're going to put a price tag on it. And I think the price tag you put on is very representative of what a wedding photographer would do, especially for the amount of photos that you probably took on the day and the day before with her rehearsal. So very common in the industry. If somebody's asking for raw, a photographer will put a price tag on it. So when you gave the price tag to them, were they like, what was their reaction to that? Were they shocked by that? Were they, we'll pay it? Like what happened after you gave them the price tag for the raw photos?
So in my initial email, which was the response to the phone call, I outlined that I had believed I had fulfilled the contract, obviously had tried to go above and beyond with the re-edits to try to work with them. And because their request was the raws, the price would be, XYZ. They came back with a PDF of more concerns outlining different things that they weren't happy with, different concerns. And I responded, addressed those concerns once again, referred back to the pricing for the raws, and that I would be happy again to try to work with them further on re-editing if they wanted. And I did not hear from them after that.
So after you sent that last email, did you not hear back from her until these TikTok videos started to surface, or was there any communication after that?
There was no communication after the last email that I had sent. We did not talk. I had not heard from her. No.
So all of a sudden you woke up one day and you started seeing these TikToks of, your images and a past client sharing their complaints about you.
Yes.
What was your reaction when you saw these?
It was definitely a mix of emotions. I will say there was a lot of shock and disappointment, of course, because no photographer would ever want this to happen with a client, would never want it to get to this point, would try to do everything to avoid it, which I believe I did. I really do believe I went above and beyond with her and Mike to really try to give them their dream wedding photos, give them something to look back on in years to come, and just smile and remember their day the way that it was. But yeah, on the other side, I wasn't really shocked because in our communication, there had been, I guess you could just call it a threat, basically saying, I hope I don't have to bring this to social media if this isn't resolved the way that we want. And throughout our communication, in the midst of the back and forth emails, there were some social media posts by her alluding to a situation. So I definitely kind of saw the writing on the wall that this might happen if I stuck to my contract.
Has this hurt your business in any way, or is this actually giving your business a little like positive reinforcement or even attention in like, created like a light in a situation of darkness? Like, have you seen any of that? Have you seen a shift in anything?
In a short-term sense, I've gotten a lot of messages of support, a lot of love, obviously new followers, a lot of comments, stuff like that, which is all great. And, I will say the messages of support have truly gotten me through the day because I've never been bullied in an online way like this before. And just, getting on your phone to hate comments every time, it's definitely been pretty difficult. But I will say there's also been so much love and so much support and so many people that, have seen through the situation, really, even without me sharing my side of the story at all until today. So short term, I have not received word from any clients. I have not necessarily been able to connect this situation to a lack of booking or here nor there. The future is to be seen. I obviously think there are negatives to the situation. I mean, to have my name connected in such a viral way to something so negative is not going to be all positive. That's just a fact. So the future effect has yet to be seen.
With that being said, and everything that has kind of transpired, you have not you haven't responded, you haven't taken to social media or anything along those lines. Like, we're giving you our platform to kind of share your side of the story and give your perspective and everything like that. Now, do you have any advice for, let's just say, brides looking or couples looking for photographers that maybe like this is a learning experience for you that you could kind of share, like either from the initial meeting point of view or even like the after delivery point of view, that maybe you could share, like give some advice to couples or brides that are looking for a photographer?
I've seen a lot of advice being given the last week. There's been a lot of stitches, a lot of TikToks. There's been a lot of people kind of giving their 2 cents on what has happened, what has transpired. I do want to say, as a side note to that really quick, that it's been really hard to witness a lot of people speaking on a subject that they haven't seen both sides of. So I do just want to say that just to the public, to be careful when you take a side on something without knowing the full story, because a lot of people have really tried to make this an educational lesson for others. Send full galleries, make sure you're vetting your couples, make sure you're getting on a phone call. And I do want to be clear that I did all that with this couple. We had a great phone call. We vibed really well. Rereading through our text messages, I am just truly looking back, just wow, like we vibed so well and the chemistry was truly there. Obviously, I did send the full gallery. A lot of the information that I've seen people putting out are things that I did. And so I do want to just say, when you're in the industry of customer service and you're in an industry like wedding photography, things like this might just happen. I know that's probably not the education everybody wants to receive. I think everybody wants to be able to put like this magic little fairy dust on, if you do this, you will book your dream clients and everything will go smoothly and everything will be great. But when I tell you, I could never have anticipated this situation happening with this couple in my wildest dreams based off of the client experience that I tried to give them. I mean that with my whole heart. Obviously, as photographers, we can do our best to educate our clients, vet them, have great conversations, communicate. And we should be doing those things. We should be sending full galleries. We should be getting on phone calls prior to booking. But at the end of the day, Sometimes really unfortunate situations happen despite our control. So
when a client's taste changes and their style changes after delivery, there's really nothing you could do to, make somebody happy in that regard. So I think you did a really good job in trying to, trying to work with your client and trying to make the situation right. Um, so in closing this, and I do appreciate your time, and I do really appreciate you hopping on the call with us and kind of sharing your point of view. Do you have any, and this is probably a question that you might not be able to answer, but do you have any plans for resolution with this bride? Have you been in communication with her like the last week or anything like that, since she's released the videos, or is this something that you're gonna keep close to the chest?
I have not been in contact since the videos have been posted, but that is not something that I can speak on at this point in time.
All right. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for your time. It is a pleasure speaking with you. We really appreciate hearing your side of the story. This is something that we're obviously we have been monitoring. It has taken the internet by storm. And as a vendor-based platform that also shares, sympathies with clients, we always want to present facts, and we always want to give both sides of the story. So I really appreciate you hopping on and giving me your time. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share my side of everything.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Hannah. I want to thank her for coming on the podcast and sharing her side of the story. We know that was probably a little tough for her to do, and we're very thankful she decided to hop on and share her side. We think it's important in the community that we hear both sides of the story, because sometimes we do hear, just the client side, or we hear just the vendor side. And, I think it's important to sometimes formulate a response based around, both sides. So with that being said, Lauren and I are recording an episode that will be our response to this whole Sepia Gate drama. And we're excited to share that with you. That will be our next episode. So stay tuned for that. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.